Hello and welcome to Spirit Pig. This is the show that explores how to live a fulfilled life. I'm Duncan CJ and today I'm speaking with Kaypacha. Kaypacha has 40 years experience as an astrologer and spiritual practitioner. And some of the ways he shares the teachings of astrology is through speaking internationally, running workshops and writing, but in particular through his phenomenally successful The Pele Report, which is a weekly astrological forecast which he posts on YouTube. And this guides and teaches around 50,000 people every single week. So, Kaypacha, thank you so much for being here. It's a huge honor.
Thank you for having me. It's great to talk to you, Duncan.
Now, I know that you were a kid, you were 17 years old, knew absolutely nothing about astrology whatsoever, and then suddenly your next door neighbor in California read your chart one day, and it just blew your mind. Like, he was saying stuff about your parents, your health, girlfriend, job, past, present, your passions. Like, what was, I mean, your website, is a lot about paradigm shifts. And so what kind of paradigm shift was that? Like, suddenly having no experience of astrology whatsoever, and then suddenly this person speaking to you as if they know you.
Oh my God, it totally changed my my whole reality. I got to say, because back then my motto for living was you only go around once in life, so you should grab for all the gusto. It was a Budweiser beer commercial. So, I had my Harley and I was doing a lot of, substance abuse and having a going for all the gusto in every realm of life that I could anticipate. And so then all of a sudden I get this like huge reincarnation, karma, like, oh my God, right? Like there's this whole huge big picture, that I was totally unaware of. And so, yeah, it just like, it really altered my approach to life, the meaning, my activities, my thoughts, my desires, my goals, ambitions, everything changed. I started, getting into Edgar Casey and, a spiritual practice. And of course I dove into astrology like head over heels. And so, yeah, that really did a big shift for me. So,
What would you say to, I know, one of our audience who is maybe listening to this interview and they're completely new to astrology? They've got no sort of, they've got no sort of experience with it, and they're just being introduced to this topic for the first time. Like, how, I mean, do they need to have just that experience? Is it an experiential thing? They need to have just a reading and then suddenly they can see themselves? Or what would you say to those kind of people?
well, I put the Pele Report out there,
Yeah.
and I do attract a lot of people that it's new to them, or they give it to their mother, and because I mean, so obviously, number one, the best way is to have a personal reading from a good astrologer and have your mind blown like I did. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that is the best.
Yeah.
But secondly, the Pele Report just deals with what we call the collective unconscious, and this is just like, there's human consciousness, there's collective, whether it's globalization or, I mean, there's somewhat proof about this, about scientists kind of having similar discoveries, at the same time on different parts of the globe. So I mean, so we're all tapped in on some level to fashion and fad and things like that. So the Pele Report just looks at what's going on collectively that we're all tapped into. And I think if you listen to that over a little period of time and you start to say, wow, I can connect to, what they're saying there, or what they are seeing that's
Yeah.
going on for everybody. And so maybe there is a little more validity to this than they say in the scientists. I mean, that's
Yeah. What addressing that? What would you say is sort of some of the most, I don't know, the most common misconceptions that you hear with regards to astrology?
I mean, well, basically, I mean, the whole thing for me is that and I work with the evolutionary stages. That we come into planet Earth, and there's these stages of evolution that we go through. It's like the school of planet Earth, and and the first few hundred lifetimes we're in what we call the consensus or the herd state. And that's three-quarters of any given population is in the herd state, and they're listening to the popular scientists and the religious figures and the government figures and the magazines. And this is, so 3 out of 4 people, okay, are listening to scientists who are saying, this is bogus bullshit and it doesn't make any difference. And, they put it on the comic strip of the magazine pages. And, it's just, so it's like, I don't expect 3 out of 4 people to relate to astrology or to what I'm saying or to, and that's just fine. They've got many lifetimes. There's no hurry, man. So, and then when you are, when that lets you down, when the medical associations can't cure you, and the religions don't save you, and the external authorities, just basically blow it for you, you start seeking alternative sources of information, and that's when you are open enough to possibly receive or get into, occult is hidden. Yeah. Hidden wisdom, hidden meaning, what's going on, beneath the surface, that you've been told or shown or seen. So I just think, it's according to each individual soul has they're in a particular stage. You have a particular intention in your incarnation. And if that includes astrology, you're going to find it, and it's going to find you. And it's just, so I don't believe that. I mean, if it's one thing astrology has taught me, there's no accidents, there's no coincidence. People get into astrology when they're ready, when they need it, when it's, when it means something to them, and when, they're going to evolve as a result of their relationship to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't, I'm not trying to.
One sort of like misconception which I kind of had for a while, and then like I've now realized, this is not the case. I just had, just a completely limited interpretation. Was one thing which I kind of struggled with was I think this is probably more about my own personality, but I didn't like the idea of, say, there's 12 star signs, and it's like, okay, you are a Capricorn, you are an Aries, you're a Cancer, okay, you are this or you are that. The idea of being boxed. So because I'm all about like free will, I'm my own person, all this kind of things. I didn't like that there was 12 camps, and like, this is your camp, you are in that. And so and I now obviously realize that's not even close to what this is all about. But that's the idea I had for years and years and years.
I mean, that is, like sun sign astrology and like what they put out there with these cookbooks, like, this means this and this is this. And I mean, it's just like so totally not astrology. It's like we are all 12 signs. It's like these are just like archetypes. We've all got some warrior, and we've all got some judge, and we've all got some lover, and we've all got some player, and we've all got some inner child. And so it's like we're all of these things, and it's all mixed up. And so, this is, whether you call it, the Illuminati, trying to like, disguise or, debunk, or lead people away from, a deeper understanding or whatever, I don't necessarily say it's a conspiracy, but, it's just like, don't look at that, or, it's like, we don't want you to like go there or whatever. So, yeah, it's like and the way that I look at it and the way that I work with it is it's a blueprint, okay, of your unconscious. And, as such, it's empowering. As you get to know your unconscious, you have more free will. You have more power. You have more, capacity to, just like really do whatever it's like your creative potential goes like, boom, So it's like the whole thing is, I am totally anti-fate and, fatalistic, and this is da 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 da. Yeah. For me, it's like, I often use the surfing example. It's like you see a wave coming. It's very nice to see like spring is coming after winter. Okay, so like astrology it's the study of cycles and timing and everything. So it's like, yeah, part of it is totally about seeing what's coming so that you know when to paddle. And you get the most advantage of every moment because like you got a little bit of foresight,
Yeah.
but it's not determining outcomes in any frickin' way, shape, and form. And any astrologer that's like predicting events and this, that, and the other thing, it's strictly a 50-50 chance. I, I don't care who you are or what you've got. There are psychic, okay, I mean, it is another use of it is to develop your extrasensory perception that it validates
Yeah.
what you may be feeling or dreaming or intuiting, and then you look at the chart and go, oh my God, the chart's saying the same thing that I'm thinking or feeling. So it's like I start trusting my intuition more and more and more, but it's not, I don't use it as a predictive tool or to stereotype anybody, and that's really, I
Yeah.
think what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I heard you in a previous interview. I heard you talk about, and it made me laugh. It was like this idea that the stars don't do anything to us. We're not controlled by the planets. The idea of Mars made me do it is complete bullshit. I love that. I love that expression. Mars made me do it. It just I was like, right, I've got to ask him about that.
Yeah, and okay, then we can get into this whole different thing between Newtonian physics and quantum physics.
Mm,
Newtonian physics is cause and effect.
yeah.
And so in this time space third dimensional reality, we deal a lot with cause and effect, but you see astrology is more like quantum physics. And there's no gravity in quantum physics, and it's more about synchronicity. It's more about this mirroring. So it's like, the astrology is like as above, so below. It's only mirroring what is all, what's existing up, down here is mirrored up there. So it's not this cause and effect, okay? It's just like, okay, wow, it's really a fantastic, it's like awe and wonder at the, magnificence and the intensity and the outrageousness of how who put all this together, man. It's like, oh my God, how can this, I mean, for me, it's just like, it's exciting,
Yeah.
it's awesome to observe, the quality, of, and the mastery, of what I call source, or I actually call God life. I serve God. I learn from life. I serve life. Life nourishes me. Life gave me birth. It's just like if we change out, God for life and just say, what? Life is amazing. I love life. Life loves me. Life will save me. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just like, yeah, astrology is just like, penetrating into the mysteries of life is the way that I like to, phrase it.
I like that. I like that. Because then, yeah, for example, like if you are talking using the word God, then for some people, great, they'll resonate that. But other people, it'll just be put off because they won't even necessarily listen to the teaching and the message because words are so strong. So the word God might just be like, oh, actually not for me. So I quite like using it in life. It's good.
It's, yeah. There's a lot of stuff around God, like there's a lot of stuff around love.
Yeah.
I mean, love is another one. It's like, oh my God, you say love. Well, like they say, the Eskimos have 26 different words for snow.
Really?
Well, we should have about 1,000 different words for love because there's 1,000 different kinds of it, and it's good to like get these things a little more clear.
Yeah,
And
it's quite funny actually to realize the words which you like and realize the words which you put you off because even though it's an absolutely fine word, I don't know why, but for some reason the word "your truth" just puts me off. So I have to use words like authenticity or this and that. We're talking about the exact same thing, but you just got to work out the words which actually don't like put you off.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And yeah, you're describing it there, but like astrology, I mean, it can be hugely empowering because it literally, you says, it makes people aware of their power. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is, and there, I mean, the way that I work with this is the other thing, though. Now, reincarnation, and this is something that so many people are just like, when you die, you're dust and it's over or
Mm.
whatever. Or religious people, it's like you have to go to heaven or hell or something else going on. But the idea that you come back again and evolve and grow and become more conscious and more aware, and so my sense is that we are infinite spiritual beings that exist outside of time and space. And we choose the DNA, the mother, the father, the nationality, the language, the male or female body. And we say, okay. And I even say that sometimes, it's like the soul that brings these two people together and they fall in love. Yeah, they think they're falling in love, but really it's just that this soul wants their DNA. So it's like, this is like really huge, man. So it's like, yeah, we come in and we choose all of this. And so like when you're born and they cut the umbilical cord and you draw in that first breath, it's like, that's when we draw the birth chart, right? That is your horoscope, okay? And I say that that has been chosen by you to reflect your intention of existing at this time and space. So it's like, yeah, it's like, so when you look at that chart, okay, you're not looking at this little ego, this little brain mind, thing that makes decisions and is totally limited. You're looking, okay, at more like 90%. It's like the iceberg, the ego and what we're thinking and talking and, making decisions from is like this very tip of the iceberg, but 90% of it is underwater. So when you're looking at the chart, you're looking at 90%, okay, of who you are instead of this little, you know, tipsy whipsy 10%. And when you get the 10% in alignment with or aware of the greater, like power and intention and beauty and, and also, I also have to say, our unconscious also holds everything that we have suppressed, denied, been ashamed of, been guilty about, been judged for, been blah, blah, blah. We stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff a lot. So a lot of this is not just like opening up to how beautiful and wonderful we are. It's also opening up to what we're ashamed of, what we remember as being, evil or bad or wrong. I mean, and so there are parts it can really help us to embrace and love ourselves more fully and completely because it also shows us, where we have fallen, where we need to forgive ourselves and other people, where we can go into being a victim and a martyr, where we can project all of our negative shadow bullshit on other people and mess up our relationships. So it's not all like you like get your chart reading and turn into Wonder Woman or Superman. It's more like, oh my God, look at look at this that I picked up along the way, and so it's also an aid in self development, that involves, working with, yeah, the unconscious it's huge.
Mm.
So it's got a lot of, you know, dimensions to it, aspects to it.
Yeah.
Like a diamond, it's got all these different faces. Okay, so and it sparkles, but you know what? There's also some other sneaky stuff in there. You know what I'm saying?
And I heard whatever pisses you off is a lesson. It's an unexpressed aspect of yourself. Could you maybe elaborate on that idea?
Yeah, I mean, so like, let's just say, I mean, take a simple example, okay? I want a lot of attention. When people pat me on the back and smile at me and, tell me I'm great, it just gives me goosebumps all over. And so it's just like, wow, I'm seeking this and seeking this and seeking this. But, you know, my mom and dad or my parents or teachers or preachers told me that that's being egotistical or self-centered or narcissistic, or that I should not demand or expect or want so much attention. And so then I take that natural need or natural desire, and I become ashamed of it, or it's like, oh my God, that's, I shouldn't be that. Okay. Oh, I shouldn't demand too much attention, or I shouldn't, yell or scream or shout or dance, or I stuff that down, right? Because I feel bad about it or guilty whenever I, express myself. And so then when I see other people, yeah, screaming, shouting, getting attention, yelling, and people clapping for them, and they actually like become famous or become well known, or maybe it's my brother or my sister that gets all the attention, or maybe my spouse or my boyfriend or girlfriend or something, they're all charismatic and everybody adores them and loves them. I then what comes up is I start to go, fuck, these guys, look at this person, look at that person. Who do they think they are? They're so egotistical. They're so, they think they're so great. And I start projecting all kinds of negative stuff, onto these people that are actually getting and being allowed or succeeding at living the life that I secretly or even unconsciously want for myself.
Yeah.
And so this can be the same with money. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I want lots of money, man. I want to be able to spend. I want power. And so like we get people that, have a lot of money or they have a lot of power, and we, and like gurus or teachers, it's like we all want to be wise, and so like we run into a guru or a teacher, and ultimately, we start saying, you know what, you're full of it, and you're, so what we say is, this is like what I call shadow and projection, that what we deny or suppress in ourselves, we make it negative.
Yeah.
And when we see it in somebody else, it triggers us, and we get angry at that person, or we judge that person. And so the old saying is, you spot it, you got it. So if you think somebody's arrogant, guess what?
Oh dear.
You have some seeds of arrogance yourself, my friend. And if you think that somebody is seductive, or manipulative, well, you just may be seductive or manipulative yourself. And it's just like, but this doesn't necessarily mean that it's negative. But when we suppress it, it gets distorted and perverted and becomes negative.
Mm.
So we can be naturally, seductive. Let's look at that. We can be naturally attracted, through our animal body, through our natural expression that we are sexual beings, okay? And this can be, a beautiful part of ourselves. But when we judge it and suppress it, then it's like, oh, they're not just naturally a sensuous, exotic, erotic person. No, no, no. They're, they're a slut or a whore or a this or a, it's just like we put this negative spin on aspects of human nature that are not necessarily negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And kind of like it's different, but kind of building on that idea maybe a tiny bit. Like for the last 2,000 years, we've been I think, was it the age of Pisces, was it? I think, and we've been passing on this idea from generation to generation that spirit and matter don't go together. So this idea that you can have, say, good sex, lots of fun, lots of money, and be spiritual at the same time was absolutely big no-go, not accepted. You were either spiritual or a materialist. Like, however, this idea, this has now it's come to an end, or it's coming to an end. Is that right?
It's coming to an end. Yeah, this is the end of 6,000 years of male-dominated religions and cultural setups and societies, and we are that is I gotta say slowly. Like very freaking slowly, man. Oh my God, it's taken forever. I mean, but yes, the rise of the feminine, the rise, of inclusion rather than exclusion, of being more than doing and controlling and dominating. It's now, opening and receiving and really getting, coming into a better alignment and a better balance with this whole situation. And so we can also look at that in terms of astrology. The masculine, is fire and air, which rises and is light and clear and high. And, it's like ordered and structured and intellectual and da, 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 da. And so this has been, let's be light and clear and structured and ordered and, get these, commandments and, black and white and right and wrong and good and bad and, get all this like, structured and this is good in heaven and you're okay if you are light. And we shove down in astrology, it's earth, okay, and water, which is the feminine. It's the internal, the feelings and the emotions and the lower chakras, okay, that are not so clear and straight and orderly and intellectual, that there's a lot of gray area and there's a lot of waves that come in and there's a lot of, chaos and but this is like where birth happens. This is where creation happens. This is where it's really, it's like we all come out of the womb, okay? We all come out of sex, out of these lower chakras. So this is the dragon, the chi, the life force, the kundalini, the snake energy. I mean, this is like where the passion that really drives. It's the engine, okay, that really. And so yeah, our engine, our drive, our kundalini has been like judged, suppressed, repressed, and really, so this is so part of what of this new paradigm, okay, and this new age is getting people empowered, and part of that empowering is coming down to accepting that we have lower chakras, that we have animal instincts and desires, that we're spiritual beings in animal bodies, and it's not about either or, it's both and more. I mean, that's my favorite line, and so it's like, yeah, it's like we can be, yes, desirous and luscious and juicy and and be in this whole feminine inner earth and water realm. And I mean, it's like super spiritual. I mean, come on, Gaia, Mother Nature. Hello, like what's more spiritual than Mother Nature? Give me a break. It's like, come on, man. So, this is like this is what I see as the future, this age of Aquarius and this, this new paradigm, is coming into a better balance and acceptance of the totality of human nature rather than trying to exclude, certain aspects or elements of it. Yeah.
What does a fulfilled life mean to you?
Just that, yeah. Unity, the union and the opening and the acceptance, okay, of all that is. That's the other thing that I can call God or life, is all that is. And love, Love brings me into this place of acknowledging, of owning, of accepting, of forgiving, of surrendering into all that is outside, okay, of belief systems. I don't need to believe, okay, this or this or this or this. I need to like be open to experiencing exactly what is in our conversation, being open to you, okay, in this moment, coming into this. So a fulfilled life to me is just like really being open to the moment, to be here now, and to really be fully this being open is embracing and receiving and giving fulfill. It's like, and it's filling my cup and filling your cup, and it's just like really getting the most, yes, out of every connection, out of every moment, out of every relationship, out of every opportunity, and just like freaking totally going for it all the way.
And what is
One thing I also want to say is just I want to be on my deathbed with no regrets, man. And
touche?
I keep that in my mind. It's like, you know what? I want to like take full grasp, of every moment,
What is one thing all our listeners can do today that will have a massive positive effect on their lives?
Well, to me, the shamanic journey of healing, of empowering, of transforming and growing has three things. Those three things, yes, is breath, movement, yeah, and feeling, emotions. And so it's just like breathing to me, the breath of fire. Okay, I do Kundalini, I do pranayama, I do shamanic breath work. Okay, and it's just about really, life is learning how to breathe in one way. It's learning how to exhale and inhale, how to give and how to receive. And I just want to encourage everybody, to really take so many, take full advantage of all the different, forms of breath work, that are available out there in the world, and open your lungs, oxygenate the blood. And it's just, this breathing opens up, so many, cavities, so many pineal glands and third eye awakenings, and just like doing all different kinds of breath work, and breathing is like just so freaking awesome.
Last but not least, where can we send people? How can people find out more about you and your work?
I'm at newparadigmastrology.com.
Fantastic. Tom, Kaypacha, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Nice to talk with you, Duncan. Thank you for having me. Right on.
Catch you soon. Bye, dude.
Okay.